It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as well. Patrick, we were going to have to stay up late to watch that Timberwolves game on Sunday night, a 9:30 Minnesota start time. Did us no favors with TV. By the time that thing tipped off, it was probably more like 9:50, something like that,
Yes.
9:45.
Hmm.
But Patrick, they made it easier on us at least to
Oh,
get
yes.
get a little bit more sleep by basically being completely out of that game by 2 minutes into the third quarter, 2 minutes into the second half. And even when they didn't have, even when it wasn't, too lopsided, you could tell that wasn't going to be their night. They looked, Patrick, to me like a team that had to work too hard to be the 8th seed. And I'm making an excuse, but it just kind of seemed like a team that was out of gas, out of sorts. We'll see if they're better in game two on Wednesday.
Well, they only played 8 guys, against on Friday against Oklahoma City, and even though they end up running away from them by playing big man ball, that Oklahoma City team takes a lot of energy out of you to guard because they are quick, and as soon as they get a couple of big men and with those 9 draft choices they have, they're going to be something. But they worked hard to get control of that game. And then, yesterday, I mean, Denver's better than them. Everything being equal, Denver's better than them. And I get a kick out of people saying, well, Denver hasn't played for a week. Maybe they'll be rusty. No, they won't.
Yeah.
Give me a week off after an NBA season, and I'm as happy as can be. And they had that energy last night. And I got news for you. I didn't make it to halftime. I saw halfway through the second quarter. I said, this ain't going to work. And went to bed. I didn't fall asleep right away. I read a little bit, checked the score a couple of times just to make sure I wasn't wrong. It was not going to be higher entertainment. The only team that was a lower seed that lost yesterday. The others went 3-0.
Yes.
The lower seeds went 4-4 in the first round. The Knicks, and then the first 3 games yesterday. But it's a mismatch. And you think they'll win a game? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't
They'll
think.
win. Yeah, I still think they can. I think still think they can be competitive in this series. I don't know if they can win game two, but game three is always the one where you get back home. You feel like, you feel like you get that little energy from the crowd. The other team's kind of relaxes a little bit, and then game four. That's the way the series 5 or 6 years ago, the Butler series. That's exactly how that one went, where
Yeah, right. They
they
won
got
one.
they got game three, and then game four was close at halftime, and then they got 50 put on them in the third
Yeah, right.
quarter, and that was
Quarter.
it.
Harden and the boys, but it was they played a great first half that game four. I remember that. One of their big problems right now is the world is finding out Ant can't shoot. He can
Yeah,
get to the basket, but my one of my basketball gurus is Terry Kunze. He
sure.
was gopher, or this guy's a nut. He's right. He watches every game, knowing the man, and he said to me a couple of years ago. He said to me, he likes Edwards, blah blah blah. He says, but every time he shoots, I think he's going to miss. And I have the same feeling. Whenever he shoots a jump shot, I think he's going to miss. And lately, he has been missing.
Yes.
So he just, and the league has really figured him out too. When he tries to drive now, man, they got about 3 guys jumping in that lane trying to take it away from him, and staying in front of him is the only. He starts dribbling around trying to get around guys, and they're always obviously the game plan against this team is make sure Ant doesn't get to the basket because keep him outside and not he doesn't have much to offer. If it's going to be, some nights he's making shots, but that hasn't happened now. I think he's banged up too, don't you? I think
Yes.
he ever since he twisted that ankle or whatever it was, he hadn't really been the same player. And they're just. I mean, Connolly came out, played really well at the start and made some shots and looked like he tried to run it, but they were just overmatched. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't think Denver's a great team. Do you? I think they're good, but I don't think they're great. I think the one great thing about the NBA this year is is who's great.
Yeah,
the Bucks ended up with the best record, and now Giannis is hurt. He's been
right.
fighting back for weeks, so they're not. They're good beat in the first round if he doesn't play, and I guess Boston's probably the best team in the league, but they certainly aren't super team. So it's been a good year for the NBA because there's way more balance than normal. But yeah, this I don't know. You probably think they're going to win a game. I don't think they're going to win a game, but who knows? I think this is probably the same mismatch as the Butler season was against Houston. But to me, I think it's this much of a mismatch because I don't think this team is as good as that Butler team was.
Yeah, probably not. I
When
mean,
Butler was healthy, I think you know, Cat knew what he wanted to do back then, and Cat was a much more of a weapon than he is now. And I don't know. This team with the injury. I mean, if they had McDaniels and they had Nas Reed, they'd have a chance. But they're not.
yeah,
With what they're playing now, they don't have a chance. I don't think.
yeah. They missed McDaniels last night for sure, and Naz too. I mean, they're just the rotations just don't go deep enough anymore. You had to play Jalen Noel some, and those those Jalen Noel minutes were not good. And like Gobert was like a -28 or something last night when it mattered. I don't know if that's where he wound up, but yeah, they do look like a team that doesn't have the horses, but they didn't make shots, and Cat was not good in that game. I don't know if it's just the matchup, his lack of assertiveness, but you look at a lot of the matchups across the board. Jokic can guard him, then they can throw Gordon on him. There's a lot of people that they can put on the Wolves' best players and make them work harder than they should have to. And I don't know if it's just going to be a matter of making more shots because, yeah, they did miss some open ones, but Denver missed a few open ones too. And that was still Denver did not play their best and they still won by almost 30.
Yeah, and you look now like Torian Prince, nice little weapon off the bench usually, right? And
Yeah.
now he's got to play 25 minutes for you, and he's got to do something. They just got guys who are nice little complementary players who are now have to be key players, and that's with the injuries they have, and that's not gonna work. Yeah, I mean, a guy like Nas comes in last night and gives them some fire too, and that's one thing he brought. He just absolutely was a maniacal competitor, and they don't have that either. I don't think.
No.
Plus Gobert, God love him. And when they could play volleyball like they did against a smaller Oklahoma City team, he's
Right.
very effective. But he's still a klutz. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he gets his steps wrong, or he's shooting free throws. The one he almost missed the floor on Friday night. He was. I thought he was going to throw it out of the arena. The one he's short-handed and missed it, and the whole
Yeah.
crowd laughed at him. And
Yeah.
and what was a Cat that made the big signal and said, "No, who was it? Connolly or somebody made the signal to the crowd. Don't laugh at him." When he missed that free
He's
throw,
trying his best,
because it was
folks.
still a competitive game then. But he
Right.
throws up that throws up that 13-foot free throw. So yeah, it's been a really interesting season. But
Yes.
when Nas broke his wrist and then McDaniels punched the wall within a 48-hour period or a 72-hour period, I think that pretty well doomed them.
Yeah. Well, and like even with all that, if they wouldn't have fallen apart in the fourth quarter on what I guess that would have been last
Oh
Tuesday against the Lakers, you would have
yes,
had 3 more days of rest and a matchup against Memphis instead of
yes,
Denver. This is hurting them pretty bad right now. When you watch Memphis,
yes.
when you watch Memphis lose to the Lakers are playing pretty well right now. So I'm not saying the Wolves would have, automatically won that game, but I don't think there's any doubt that they'd have a more competitive series or at least a more competitive game one if it was Memphis and not Denver.
Yeah, because ever since they suspended him and he was acting goofy and stuff, he hadn't been the same player. He's banged up too, and he just, he's not just taking over the game and scoring 36 and going to the free throw line the whole night. He's not the same player, and if he's not the same player, all of a sudden they're a pretty ordinary team. So
Yeah, and Clark's hurt for them too now, I think. So
yeah,
that's
right. Yeah, that's some size too. They can't. They're just, yeah. I think the Lakers might beat
I think they
because
will. Yeah, I think they will.
Davis. As I said a couple of weeks ago, and when Anthony Davis is on his game, he's generally the best player on the floor, and that's plus I didn't watch much, but LeBron apparently looked much better than he did when he looked like the 60-year-old man against the who did I see him against? He was so horrible. Was it against us? Right? I guess he played terrible
He was
against us.
bad in the first half, at least of that game. He got a little better in the second half, but
Yeah. How about that was the game when D'Lo did not play the last 17 minutes of
no,
that game.
he
I
wasn't
thought
good
he
in that
didn't.
game.
I thought he didn't play the fourth quarter. He didn't play the last 17.
It's amazing.
I was talking to Horton. He didn't play the last 17 minutes.
That's amazing.
Anyway.
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake. With 24/7 gaming, the good times never have to end. And you can satisfy your cravings at our restaurants and bars. Or relax in one of our luxurious hotel rooms. Those that play together, stay together. And don't forget to join Club M so you can spark new memories and bask in the rewards along the way. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
Wild Fever starts tonight, and I'm sure that's the great thing about that is if you're a hockey fan, it's never gonna be a 15-point route where you can stop watching.
Right.
It's gonna be 2-1, 3-1, and what the hell, they're always competitive, and you always have a chance. You never say I don't have a chance. They don't have a chance because it's always 2-1, 3-1. So,
yeah.
Anyway, just a completely different game.
It is. Let's get back to that in a minute. Maybe we can talk about the Twins for a bit here first, because that was a very interesting series in New York. They take the first two from the Yankees, including, I think, was the first game of the series where they got 9 runs in the first inning, right?
Yeah, this rookie, it was a right hand. It was a rookie and 22 years old and change-up artist. He's a slop baller. And he was hanging his slop balls, and they hit him out of the park. He was, not really a real live arm, so they knocked him around. Brito was his name, and then Friday they beat on Friday. They had they beat Nestor, right? Nestor the molester.
So yeah, that was a 4-3 game, right? That was 4-3.
Yeah, that was a good ball game, and then got absolutely nothing against Herman, and Garrett Cole just rolled through him. Herman got caught cheating, and they didn't do anything about it. So that one, I'm not sure that made much difference because they just don't have a great lineup.
No,
I mean, they're not. They're good. The pitching's been extremely good. The bullpen's been good. The starters, Tyler Malley wasn't that good the other day, but it wouldn't have made any difference. He didn't get any runs, so they got 1 or something. So yeah, you don't like the lineup. I see that Polanco is playing, and they're going to move him to St. Paul now for have him play there. I mean, if he's played 4 or 5 games in Fort Myers, get him the hell up here, right?
I don't get it.
But it's so stupid. And then Kirilloff, I'm sure they're just sitting there waiting to see if the wrist holds up or not. But that would certainly be a asset too if he actually can come back and play. But the Julian kid comes in and he gets a home run and gets a single in the first inning in New York, and then he hadn't had a hit since, so he might be a little overmatched, might be a little early for him. But that was always going to be the case here with this team. I think that here's the thing though. Buxton struck out 9 straight times. Is that it?
Ooh, yeah.
I think it's 9 straight times. And 12 times in the last since he ran into the second baseman. He doesn't seem to be banged up, but he's just in one of those stretches where he can't put the ball in play. Now, a lot of that had to do with 2 really good right-handed pitchers.
Of course, yeah.
He doesn't hit against good right-handed stuff too often, because they don't throw him a hanging breaking ball. They just throw hard stuff at him, and and he's not here. Here we're seeing classic Buxton here because I always say 50% of his asset is being a center fielder, and he's not playing center field, so all he's doing is hitting. So he's a full-time DH, and I don't know. I guess they don't want to hurt his feelings, but if you're playing a guy like Garrett Cole, playing against a guy like Garrett Cole, he should either not play or hit seventh.
Yeah.
Because he can't hit. He can't hit that good right-handed stuff, and like he's got overwhelmed this weekend. Now they get to go play Boston, and the Red Sox are pretty bad.
Yeah.
They got terrible.
How'd they get so bad? Like, how does a team like Boston get bad?
Well, their payroll is like way low compared to what it used to be. I think it's 138 million or something.
So that's like less than the Twins, right?
No, well, what was it? No, maybe it's 168 million or something.
Yeah.
But supposedly they're saving their money for Ohtani.
Okay.
Ohtani's not going to go to Boston. People don't, it's playing that lousy ballpark. I don't think there's a big. I'd be very surprised if he ended up in Boston, but that's the Red Sox. That's what they keep saying about the Red Sox. But I'm a good friend of Shaughnessy, Dan Shaughnessy,
Yeah.
out there, and I texted him last weekend and said, did you ever think, or last Thursday, did you ever think Red Sox Nation would be jealous of Ray's phone booth,
Right.
And he said, worst lineup of my lifetime for the Red Sox. Now, there were some years when they were pretty bad.
I was going to say, yeah.
Worst lineup of my lifetime, he said. It's an embarrassment. They are really down on the Red Sox there, because they, the Fenway group they got Liverpool, they got a NASCAR team, and they've got all this other stuff, and I can't imagine how much fun I'd be having with the Red Sox fans if I was out there making Liverpool joke. That's okay. Yeah. Liverpool won today or something like that.
Right.
Liverpool won the title a couple of years ago, but boy, I really don't know how they got this bad. It's terrible. So,
I mean, they're 8-8 this year, so they're not in the worst shape of any team. But
they're not terrible. But I mean, they're not. But you look at the lineup and say, what is this?
Right.
They got, who's playing shortstop for him? Bobby Dahlbeck, a big, tall first baseman.
What? Why?
He's playing shortstop. I don't know. He played that position in college or something, but he's like a 6'6" slow shortstop. Now he's not playing all the games, but he's playing a lot of the games shortstop. I don't know. They are just a mess right now, and they're going to end up a well-beaten fourth in that division for sure.
The Rays are 14-2. Would they start 13-0? I mean, they're.
Yesterday Toronto beat them twice, but they were 13-0, and it was they're so excited. I wrote about them for Sunday. They're so excited down there for the Rays when they were 13-0. They had 21,000 people show up on Thursday afternoon. That's amazing for the Rays. They got Rays fever. Of course, they also got lightning fever, and I'm sure they're worried about the Bucks in the draft. But Mike, the Rays are unbelievable. How they do it, I have no idea.
Yeah,
they just keep putting these.
They've had a ballpark problem as soon as they started, and they.
Yes, right. Yeah, and the guy signed Vince. Their first 10 years, they were terrible. They were they never had close to a winning season, and then they took the devil out of their nickname in 2008 and won the World Series.
Went to the World Series.
They were satanic or something, but it is. The thing about them is, I was trying to point this out too, is they're competing in that division.
Yeah,
not like they've been doing well in the Central.
Right,
they've been doing well against the Yankees, the Red Sox, and Toronto. I mean, Baltimore has stunk for years, but Yeah, it's amazing. But anyway, the Twins, I don't know. Maybe Polanco can give them a boost hitting wise, but Larney's been okay, and Buxton's now not hitting, and Michael Taylor's got. What's funny is Vasquez and Taylor down at the bottom of the order. They've had more hits than you expected from them, the two of
Yes.
them. But the rest of them, it's just not a good lineup, and you could see that going in now. Whether Polanco can change that, I don't know. But
You gotta get Gallo back too at some point. He's been out, but
yeah, well, he was at St. Paul, and I see the other day in one of his rehab games, he went 4 for 4, all strikeouts, and he's in perfect form. He's Joey Gallo. He had 160 last year.
he did.
160, struck out 45% of the time. That was a weird signing, but that was more of a tribute to the fact that they didn't know what Kirilloff was going to be able to do or not.
Right.
So, and they still don't. So,
Yeah.
but it's the pitching's good enough. And Mike, the time. You see the game times in New York?
They're beautiful. Were they all like 220 or less, weren't they?
7 to 227.
Unbelievable.
227. I just looked it up yesterday. 14 games. There were 2 3-hour games. One was 3:01 and the other was 3:02.
It's amazing.
But then the stupidity of baseball. I got to bring this up.
Okay.
Not terribly relevant, but they added all these. Now you're playing every team in the National League, right?
Yes.
So this year, so you changed the schedule. So you got 8 or 9 3-game series this year that you didn't have last year. So these teams. So you have these 3-game series, and what happens if you're playing Miami in the 1 3-game series and you get rained out on
Right.
up here? You see what happened in Detroit yesterday? The Giants were there. Giants were there.
Okay.
Third game of a 3-game series. 5-hour and 10-minute rain delay, and then they didn't play
because they don't want to have to go back. Yeah.
The Giants were raising hell. Gabe Kapler said, "No, we're not coming back here. We're not coming back here." Well, now they got to come back there on July 24th. Play Detroit in a game between 2 also Rams.
Yes.
You should. And there's you just. I mean, they just added all these National League games for the Twins, and there's going to be. You're going to get one of those rained out. They're going to have to fly all over the country trying to make it up, and it's stupid. If they should have added more American League games. We should have played the East and the West more in the American League, and not played all these new National League series. But what the hell?
Yeah,
but they did. So now they're going to pay for it. But none of it. Here's the good thing: if they get started, they're going to play a lot faster.
That's true. Yeah,
out those rain
right.
delays.
It's true. Yeah, I went for the first time last week. I hadn't made it to the first series, but I made it one of the games in the second series, and I hadn't felt what it felt like to be there. I'd obviously watched plenty on TV at that point, but just it just moves. It just does. It feels different. It just does.
Well, what is the big difference, Mike, is the 3-minute half innings. When all of a sudden, you're going along, and all of a sudden that you look up and they said that half inning took 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
you never had a half inning that took less than 6 minutes before, and then somebody puts a ground ball in play, and then the next guy comes up and you throw 2 pitches in 40 seconds, and the ball's another guy's out, and you get those 1, 2, 3 innings that last 2 minutes. It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I was talking to someone from the Twins a couple of weeks ago. It must have been maybe a week ago, and they were like working on some radio stuff, and it was like they had to carry a guest through like 2 innings because it went so fast. They're like they're like trying to ship him between different places for different half innings, but the half innings are so short. They're like, can you stay through another one? It's like to get the actual stuff in.
Hello, Pete. Goodbye, Pete. It is. I think it's been more phenomenal in baseball than any idea it would be. I don't think they had any idea that it could. If it's making the game go quicker, you want, that's what you get.
Right.
Now it it hasn't put more guys in on base or anything. I mean, it's stealing. You can steal a base now, but it hasn't added any hitting. That's for sure. It might have
No,
been a little more difficult, but anyway, you don't have time to get bored anymore.
that's it. That's what it was. I went 35 minutes into the game without looking at my phone. How about that? How about that for me? That's something.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and you don't get the, you know what though? The big change is in the next 5 years. You're gonna have as the pitching gets better and better and better, and now we got the sweeper, and we got the ghost fork ball that the guy broke pan, and we got all this stuff. You're gonna have the 62-foot mound. I think.
Yes.
You're gonna have to take away the asset of the pitcher here pretty soon. I think. Because it's just,
I think you got to. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're too damn good. I mean,
well, when I was growing up, like a guy threw 95, that was a lot, and there weren't a lot of them. And now everybody throws 95, and if you do throw 95, it's kind of slow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and what is amazing is guys who threw 95 are now throwing 98, 99 because they go drive line or something, and they invent them how to get more carry on their ball, and unbelievable. Meanwhile, maybe the way to score add runs is to have everybody use the dimensions of Yankee Stadium. What a
how about that?
Correa hit the shortest home run in the history of man, and then the guy yesterday, LeMahieu, almost topped it.
Yes.
One of my guys put me on. You know about this website, the one where would have been a home run.
Oh yeah, and I saw them tweet at you yesterday. Yeah.
Would it be a dog or something?
Yeah.
And LeMahieu's no other park.
No other park but Yankee Stadium.
Correa's no other park.
Yeah.
Julian's one down the left field line would have been like two other parks or something like that. It's a great. That's one thing about the internet. You got some of these geniuses who can come up with the greatest stuff ever mathematically. Where would have been a home run? What a great stat! You should suggest
they put asterisks on all the Yankees home run totals for history.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I say that. I think Judge's. I don't know how many he hit. Generally his don't scrape the back of the wall, but he had to get 5 or 6 of them that were Yankee Stadium
pop flies. Yeah.
Pop flies. Yeah. It's anyway. It's did you see the 3:15 start week from Friday?
Yeah, I saw you tweet. Was that Dave St. Peter saying that's kind of a happy hour experiment?
Yeah, they're gonna have a happy hour experiment to see if people show up. See if it causes. I think they really are trying to concentrate on getting this downtown crowd to the 25, 30-year-olds to living down there. And have friends who come downtown to discover the Twins, and that's another plan to think. I mean, let's face it. When you in the post-pandemic America, anybody who is working Fridays leaving at noon, right? So
right.
I mean, right? It's people working downtown. They'll just extend their lunch hour and go to a ball game. That's
right. That is interesting, though. That's a new one.
The thing about it is, if you started at 3:10, you won't make it to 6.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it's a true. If you have to work until 5, you're not making it to anything in that game because they're going to be done by then.
Oh God, yes, but. Yeah, the Twins. I think it'll be very helpful to get a healthy Polanco back. But now, what do you think? Do you sense a Buxton? He's banged up narrative here. Let's
see what happens against Boston because you're right. This did coincide with the running into the guy, but it did also coincided with, like you said, Garrett Cole and German. I mean, he's faced 2 really good pitchers since, and if it lingers in Boston, then maybe I'll be a little bit more concerned. But we, to your point, we could be not far away from that, at least being trotted out as a excuse for a slump here.
What was he doing, by the way? Did he think ran over the second baseman that he'd be safe? You are allowed to field the ground ball. Byron.
Yeah.
You should in baseball.
Run around.
Byron
Just go around him.
Quote the other night. He couldn't hear a pin drop. Was his quote about when Farmer got hit in the face.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the game I was at. Yeah.
Dugout. You couldn't hear a pin drop, huh? I think it's supposed to be you could hear a pin drop. Right?
That's right. I didn't think about that. You couldn't. Usually you can't anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I like heard a pin drop. So anyway, okay.
Well, let's talk about Patrick. Let's talk about the Wild and let's get out of here because the thing I'm looking forward to the most about this series starting on tonight is we no longer have to speculate about who's playing game one in goal. We're gonna know. We don't need to talk about it anymore. We're not gonna. I think it's obviously got to be Gustafsson, but until we know it, we don't know it, and until then, everybody's asking who's it going to be, what's it going to be.
I have this misfortune of when I cover the Wolves, I can have an opinion. When I cover the Twins, I can have an opinion. I cover the Vikings, I can have an opinion. When I go to a Wild game, I don't have the asset of legitimately having an opinion, okay? Because I don't care, Gustafsson. They know a hell of a lot more than I do. I don't.
Right.
I go to 3 games a year. I don't watch them at home. I got my hockey watching rules. If I turn it on and there's a power play, I'll watch it. If it's like a 1 or 2 goal game with 10 minutes to go, I'll watch it. But I am not going to sit here and watch a whole hockey game and wait for minutes after minutes to have somebody score. I don't care. That's like, I can't watch a hockey game that, now I watched the whole Gopher game against, because there was big stakes in that whole Gopher game. Lost to Quinnipiac and the other one, but I can't sit down and watch a whole hockey game. So I don't have, I couldn't write a column. Boy, they better play Gustafsson. What do I know? I don't know. I don't care. Play whoever you think's. I trust Guerin and Evason a lot more than my opinion. So I assume the Gustafsson's going to play, but if he doesn't, I'm not going to be outraged because I don't know anything about it anyway. So, I mean, I know the game to some degree. I've seen enough of it all these years and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not an opinion guy when it comes to the Wild. It's, you go over there and your guy will catch your eye and I can tell that the Russians are really good. I can tell that. Okay.
Yes, he's awfully good.
I don't watch enough to have an opinion, but I know one thing. This will go at least 6. And they'll have a chance to win every game and they'll have a chance to lose every game. That's the way it works. They're all 3-2. When you play into 3, everybody has a chance to win, So the Bruins won 65 games this year. Florida might beat them in the first round of the playoffs. That happened great. The best ever Tampa team got swept in the first round by Torts of all people. One of the biggest dunderheads in the history of man, Tortorelli, and his Columbus team swept them. So the great advantage of hockey when it comes to the postseason is it's unpredictable in the end, and it's nice to see the NBA have a little of that this year itself. So. But I don't have an opinion on. I would assume Gustafsson's going to play tonight, and Dallas really finished strong, right? Like the 9 in a row.
The West ended up being really good. There's like 6 or 7 teams that had over 100 points. So the Wild getting there is. It's impressive. I think they were better this year than maybe we thought they would be, but they're still going to have a hard time winning this series and taking a step. Yeah.
Last year they were second in the West. They were 113 points, but they ended up catching because they finished second. They had to play the third place team, St. Louis, St. Louis,
yes.
And then got beat, and which was a 100-point team too. So it was good last year too. But they certainly have the edge to them this year to have a run, I think. But they also could go out in the first round again.
Yep.
Been a long time. They've only won 4 series in their history.
Yes.
And 2 of those were in 2003.
And the other 2 were Yossi. We give him so much hard time for not doing anything. He was the one that won 2 playoff series, back-to-back years even.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Remember when Yossi came in and they had the best record in the NHL in his first 30 games, and they won 7 games in regulation in the last 52 games. What happened?
I do remember that.
I do. It was like they were terrible. And but then, I don't know. We're all impressed with Guerin because he's a straight shooter of all time.
He is. He's great. He's great.
Focused on his winning. It's none of this other nonsense. He doesn't talk about culture, and if he does, it's an accident. He doesn't talk about that stuff. He talks about winning.
Yeah.
And the rest of it does not impress him.
I had him out at the state fair over the summer, and we were having a good conversation. I think he was leaving for a long vacation right after that. So he's he's usually in a good mood anyway, but he was in a really good mood. And I started talking about the special teams and the power play and how they got to work on that this season if they're going to be any good in the playoffs. And you usually expect some kind of a GM to kind of grudgingly agree with something like that or say, oh, well, we had some breaks. But he's like, yeah, you're right. We got to get way better. We were terrible on the power play last year. It's like he's not afraid to just tell the truth about what's not good and what's good.
They're still rotten on faceoffs, right? They're 40%ers or something like that.
Yeah, I think faceoffs can be overrated sometimes, but they're not good on faceoffs, especially when you have to. If you can't win it when you have to win it, then that's a problem.
Yeah. I think the reason the Gophers lost to Quinnipiac, they couldn't win a faceoff. They were third period, they didn't win a faceoff. So
and Eck being out does not help any of that.
No, but it sounds like I heard that he didn't have a walking boot on. People saw him without a walking boot.
He might be getting close.
Probably be back in a week or 10 days. It's hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey. If it's not broken, play.
Yeah.
He first came over here and he was not a goal scorer at all. And you wondered what they were doing, drafting the guy. He didn't have much offensive talent, but he's just gotten better and better.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why we can't just call him Eck, though. Why do we have to have the Erickson in there? Why can't we just say, what an advantage that'd be for headline writers, wouldn't
it? Just Eck.
Eck scores better. It's
right.
Like this good golfer, M. Korean kid. Doesn't have the K, just M. What a great advantage for a headline writer. It's just a 2-word last name. When I run a newspaper, that's going to be my deal on the hyphenated names.
Yep.
Pick one.
You get one.
You get one. You only get one. That's it. But that doesn't seem to be a trend that's going to be successful for me as running a newspaper. So,
well, we'll see. Whoever's running it the next few days is going to be busy. We got games 2 through 5 of Wolves and Wild on the same nights, Patrick. How about that?
And late.
Yes, and late.
Time. Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, I think the Wild will have the scene to itself within a week or so here.
They might. Yeah, they might. We're worried about
a modest. I just, as I said, a healthy Wolves team, okay, they'd have a shot to win and make it interesting. But this collection, you're only 8 deep, and that includes Jordan McLaughlin.
Yeah,
he's not an NBA player, I don't think. He's a third. He should be your third point guard, not your second.
I agree with that.
So now they got Ant handling the ball when Conley's not on the court, or Kyle Anderson or something, and all that stuff. But they're just not deep enough right now.
No, I agree. Well, see what happens tonight. See what happens the rest of the week. Patrick, appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All righty.